It's always nice to capture an opponent's piece for free. Material from a good trade. In many positions, you will have several options to trade pieces, but a lot of these choices can be bad. Being able to avoid making bad trades is essential for chess improvement. In this position, White has 4 options to trade, but 3 of the captures are bad. White can play knight takes b5, rook takes d6, or rook takes e6. In all 3 cases, White is trading a more valuable piece for a less valuable piece, losing material in the process. Can you find the one good trade in the position for White? Did you notice White's powerful bishop on g2 pointing at the rook on a8? After bishop takes a8 and rook takes a8, White has traded Black's more valuable rook for the less valuable bishop, so White has gained material and made a good trade. Let's take a look at some other examples of avoiding bad trades. In this position, with Black to move, Black should focus on completing development with knight f6 and castling. Instead, Black notices a tempting check and plays bishop takes f2 check. Black trades a bishop for a pawn, generally a very bad trade, hoping to set up an attack against White's king. After king takes f2, White's king has lost the right to castle, but as we'll see, White's king safety issues are short-lived, and Black will simply be down material. After knight f6, Black develops a piece and hopes to deliver a check with knight g4. White is not afraid of this check and plays the strong move rook f1. White prepares to bring the king to safety, so after knight g4 check, White can play king g1. White's king is basically castled as it is protected by 2 pawns. White's rook will enjoy the open f-file once the knight on f3 moves. Black is simply down a piece and will regret trading a bishop for 1 pawn in a couple of pointless checks. In this position, both sides have started to bring their pieces into the game and develop. White should focus on developing the kingside pieces and prepare to castle. One trade that is generally bad is trading one of your developed pieces for an opponent's undeveloped piece. Notice that White can capture Black's knight with bishop takes b8. Even though the bishop and knight are worth the same, it would be a mistake to play bishop takes b8, because after rook takes b8, notice that White only has 2 pawns developed, and the rest of White's pieces are still on the back rank. Black now has a lead in development, so this opening is not going well for White. In this position, White can trade a bishop for a knight with bishop takes c6. Just because you can trade doesn't mean that you should. In general, you should only trade if it improves your position or makes your opponent's position worse. White shouldn't waste time with this trade. A better idea is to continue to develop and bring the king to safety with castles. If Black plays a6, attacking White's bishop, should White trade the bishop for Black's knight on c6? White should keep the bishop on the board and play either bishop c4, putting pressure on Black's weak f7 square, or play bishop a4, keeping pressure on Black's knight. It would be a mistake to play bishop takes c6. Notice that Black's knight on e7 is blocking the bishop on f8, so after knight takes c6, White traded a developed piece, improved Black's knight that was on e7, and has now opened up a path for Black's bishop on f8 to develop. Since this trade made White's position worse and improved Black's position, this was a bad trade for White. Let's look at one more example together. We already mentioned that trading one of your developed pieces for an undeveloped piece is typically not a good idea. Does this mean that it is always a bad idea? Not always. If you have a good reason to make a trade, don't be afraid to do it. In this position, Black could play bishop b4, developing a piece and checking the White king. White doesn't want to move the king, and blocking with the queen would be a very bad idea. But notice that White can block the check by placing the knight on d2 or c3. What if White couldn't block the check with the knight? Black trades the strong bishop on f5 for the undeveloped knight with bishop takes b1. After White captures with the rook or the queen, let's say queen takes b1. Now Black can play bishop b4 check. White's king is forced to run, so after king d1, and Black castles, Black's king safely finds shelter behind 3 pawns. White's king, on the other hand, is stuck in the middle of the board and may be a target for a future attack. Now that you've learned how to avoid making bad trades, it's time to put your skills to the test.